My name is Ed Parker. I was president of the Tucson Rotary Club in the year 1991-92.
Ed, why don't you tell us about the times in '91, what the club was like, maybe what was going on in the city, maybe the country?
The club was really vibrant back then. I remember we had, I don't know the exact number, but a lot of members and very active members. Time in the city was in the early 90s, kind of frustrating. It was a little tough in Tucson. The corporations were going through mergers, acquisitions, buyouts, a lot of movement in terms of the hierarchy, positions of power. And the reason I mention that affected the Rotary Club because the traditional Rotary Club was so powerful with consistency and continuity in its members. So with some of the changes in the environment, then certainly the club had to react to that in ways of membership, reconsidering different styles and philosophies of the way we had to do business. So the early 90s was a time of toughness, but one that really tested our creativity, of which I think we responded to admirably.
Cool. Tell us about your goals that you came into as club president.
My goals may be different than other presidents because right away I realized that I was sandwiched in between two very high-powered, productive Rotarians. And that would be Gordon Bartlett from IBM, who was a wonderful president. I followed Gordon, and I knew that I had Bill Harlow right behind me. So my goals were a little different. I decided with all that serious goals and objectives, we'd have one hell of a good time. So we had a lot of fun, and I purposefully looked at the weekly meetings with creative things that we would do to make sure that we had strong fellowship, a lot of fun in terms of the arrangement of the meetings. And then we went overboard a little bit with the help of Rick Rose and others with creative videos and themes and situations where we'd literally get in costumes and do things differently. So I would suggest to you, aside from the business part of Rotary with probably 45 different committees, we interchanged that with fun, excitement, great fellowship, and a lot of extra activities that brought the club together in unique ways.
All presidents are faced with issues, club issues and so forth. Can you remember any of the issues that you had to face as club president?
I think in terms of the issues of the club, when you have that size, so many moving parts, the complexity of Rotary, there will always be issues. I didn't dwell too much on those because those are a normal part of organizational structure and challenges. Thinking back, which is a ways to go, the commonality for all these years has always been membership. So it was difficult, I remember, on a couple of situations where some members would want some folks in the club and other members were opposed, and then you as president had to call upon your best sense of discipline and diplomacy and make sure that you were able to be a good listener, articulate the points of interest, and ultimately, after the facts were on the table, you had a philosophical difference, and then democracy would vote. And upon democracy vote, you just hoped that all Rotarians would unify behind the unity of the decision and support Rotary for what it stands for and not get too lost in singular issues, whether they be food or membership or all the commonalities that we've heard so many times.
When you think back on your year, Ed, what are you most proud of?
I don't have a singular accomplishment to be proud of. It's really a combination of so many things. For me, Rotary was about unity. I was so moved by the international conference. I didn't expect to be moved that way, to see the power of unity throughout the world come together. And from that, I came back to Tucson, and in our trips to Mexico and helping other communities, that was powerful. I was proud to be a part of that, to see the fellowship of Rotary extending its helping hand to others. I think in terms of pride, the club membership itself was so empowered. You just set a stage and you let them work. And the key was to be a follower. I was proud to be a follower. Even though you have a leadership position, the best leaders are followers. And I quickly learned that if I set the stage and got out of the way, I was proud to see Rotarians be empowered to do the work that they do and to be a part of that. The other thing that I'm extremely proud of is the way that Rotarians reach out for each other. I know that many people who are hearing this could give their own testimonial to the way that Rotarians reached out for them when they were in personal need. And I also was one of those individuals that went through rough times during that period. And the way that Rotary and individuals in Rotary responded to me and my personal needs was very gratifying, and I don't think I'll ever forget that. So in spite of me turning the question of what are you proud of from all of the accomplishments of Rotary to the personalities of the club, I'm very proud the way Rotarians respond to one another, and I experienced that during my year in multiple ways from other Rotarians, not just myself. So a piece of pride that we practice service above self to the ultimate.
Do you have a specific, most memorable moment?
Boy, there are so many. We had so many great speakers. We concentrated on educational sessions and great speakers. They all come together, but they were very powerful. On a funny moment, a moment to remember would be when I pulled Rick Rose aside and said, "Rick, you have to help me. I am going to miss the major annual party where we recognize Gordon Bartlett, and I would be coming in. And they want me to do a piece from the White House, if you will, that sorry I can't be with you. And Rick, I need you to shoot that, but to me it's too stale. Can we get creative?" So Rick Rose proposed that I dress up in a gorilla costume that we rented, and I went to Reed Park Zoo, and Rick, very creative as he is, had me in this gorilla costume come to the cage and give a dissertation, "Sorry I can't be with you this evening." And that moment was so much fun because it was filled at the zoo with fun experiences. The different animals, from the Bill Harlow being the giraffe to the David Abadi with the hippopotamus to other animals that characterize Rotarians in the work that we do. And we just had so much fun with that and showed it to the club, and I think we all, once again, had fun with Rotary and Rotarians in a humorous way that also depicted the importance and recognized certainly Gordon Bartlett for the wonderful work that he did in the Grand Lion. So that's kind of an aside, but oftentimes funny moments is the ones I like, are the moments that I like to dwell on versus the serious, because they're a very integral part of life. Humor is a very integral part of life, as we know.
Funny or serious, what surprised you most about being president of the Rotary Club?
I think the complexity of Rotary is unbelievable. Obviously, the challenge of running a meeting on time, but even though I was appropriately trained for my role, until you get there, little do you realize how complex the organization is. I don't know how many committees we had, but they were numerous, and the moving parts, and it changes every single week. You have to be incredibly flexible, and adaptability is a key word. I think that the biggest surprise for me was to see how it all comes together. And the year goes by so fast, and it's so rewarding upon its conclusion that I find for most Rotarians it would be the success of Rotary is directly proportional to each person's commitment. And those who are willing to make a sincere commitment for Rotary, not Rotary for self-purpose, self-gain, for political reasons or personal, but if they're sincere about Rotary and its mission, and they're willing to take the commitment and the time to make it work, the rewards are just magnificent, and that was my personal experience.
Remembering to repeat my question, what advice would you give a new Rotarian? Somebody just coming in wearing that red badge for the first day.
I don't normally give advice or mentorship or teach or preach, but I like to share things, and my sharing for people who join would be that strategic alignment with the goals of Rotary, always at the forefront, enables one to find their way through Rotary for the right way, the right reason. It behooves us to not only strategically align, but my sharing would be the commitment that I made was because I watched other leaders like Don Shropshire and so many others. In fact, if I start naming them, I'll get myself in trouble because I have so many people that I watched be very, very effective leaders. But it was the commitment, perseverance, and flexibility, high level of tolerance for things and situations and people that are different.